All right, welcome into Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 12, Juggernaut. Okay, so right off the bat, I gotta say, and I've noticed it less in this season, the final season, but oftentimes they kind of teeter between giving you some really good episodes and then some very meh episodes. And I've talked about before how I almost feel like half the episodes are almost more so catering to Clone Wars fans and kind of find some angle to carry on that legacy, exploring what's happening to the clones after the Clone Wars ends, explaining how clones are trying to navigate the world in this new Empire-dominated era. And then the other half of the episodes really lean into how this is an animated show on Disney Plus, and it's like you get one or two episodes that are really cool, that really feel like you're getting a payoff for being a Clone Wars fan and watching the previous shows, and typically explore some more dark themes. And then on the other hand, you get these like one-off adventure episodes that focus around Omega and the Batch getting into hijinks or fighting some big creature. And I didn't think the contrast was that extreme this week, but this was definitely a weaker episode, and so having just come off a series of really cool episodes, I'm not surprised that we got what we got this week. It's a pretty short one. It's only about 20 minutes or so. I think even less than that when you start factoring in like the intro and everything, maybe only about 19 minutes. So it was a quick one. It's a very transitional episode, just in the sense that you're getting Omega back on Tantiss and she's kind of reacclimating to it. You do get some more clues as to exactly what they're using her for. And then you have the Bad Batch going on this action-filled adventure to try and get intel so that they can rescue her. I do think that some people might call this episode filler, but to me, I didn't really see it that way. I think it does make sense that you need to use an episode, create that doom, that dread, that sense of despair. And then also, it would be weird if the Bad Batch just immediately knew how to get there. Like if Crosshair had been like, oh, actually, I do remember how to get to Tantiss, and here's how we do it. I just wasn't saying anything. Instead, it does make more sense that they're gonna have to do some legwork. I don't think it's a waste of time for the story. I think it builds stakes. But it's always a balance, you know, like I don't want next week's episode to feel as transitional as this. I think we can do a little bit more to start moving things along because we are heading into the final episodes of the season. And I feel like Star Wars shows do have a bad habit of kind of slowing things down right before the finale. They kind of build up the momentum, and then before the last couple episodes, they really slow things down and kind of kill that anticipation. But hopefully that doesn't happen here. And as we get into it, just as a reminder, I gotta say, go ahead and leave a like on the video. So we have Omega being brought back to Tantiss as a prisoner, and as always with the show, the animation looks good, and they've really been stepping up like their cinematography, how they frame the shots. It does feel very cinematic in many ways, certainly better than a lot of the live action shows sometimes do, where they feel more cramped. With animation, you do have more freedom, and I think they've really been leaning into that more, and with that, Season 3 just feels like a peak for their animation, but it's probably just going to keep getting better, as it always has. You got Hemlock waiting for Omega to arrive in the rain with the red glow of the ship illuminating the night. The music is also on point as always. Really does a great job of setting a tone and a mood. And of course, Omega's being escorted by the assassin clone that we've seen in all the previous episodes. And what do you think? Is it tech? I feel like it's gonna be tech. I don't want it to be tech, but I think that's what they're gonna do. I mean, just the mannerisms, some of the dialogue, the way they keep reminding the audience about tech, I feel like it's gonna be a reveal. And if you're trying to tell me that this can't be tech because this assassin clone doesn't seem to know certain things that tech would have known, I say to you, I think they can easily hand wave a lot of that away, either with some kind of amnesia from the fall, or more likely just the conditioning that the clones go through, the brainwashing, sort of erased his memories, but his personality, his mannerisms, a lot of his skills are still intact. Hemlock takes Omega to the lab. I like how Hemlock tells Omega, haha, we put Nala Se into a cell this time, so you're not gonna have help escaping this time. And as if it was somehow all Nala Se's help that let Omega escape, and not just the glaring flaws in security that Tantiss appears to have. As he leaves her alone in a room with Emery, who's been consistently showing signs that she's going to change allegiances and do something drastic to help Omega. I don't know, Hemlock, you just gotta step up your security and do a better job monitoring these high-value people. When you're doing things this evil, it's gonna be hard to find reliable employees who want to go along with it indefinitely, at least in the world of Star Wars. So Hemlock leaves the two alone because why not? Back on Pabu, the Star Destroyer is still hovering over the island. There's a little bit of conflict between Wrecker, Crosshair, and Hunter just about letting Omega go so easily with the Empire. I feel like that drama could have been played up a little bit more. Could have been some good character moments from that, but they kind of just breeze past it. And as they're trying to draw up an initial plan, Crosshair lets slip that probably Admiral Rampart is going to be their best bet at finding Tantiss. Luckily, Crosshair knows the labor camp / prison that Rampart was sent to, but now they need a ship. And conveniently, Fee arrives to provide just that. And the Bad Batch is like, Fee, how did you get here? How'd you get past the Imperial patrols? And she nonchalantly says, oh, I just parked in the cavern. Which to me sounded like the show literally just making fun of itself, because it seems like everybody's been parking in this cavern without being detected, from Ventress to the assassin clone to now Fee. So we cut to the Imperial labor camp prison where Rampart is being held, kind of get a little slice of what he's up to, which is just manual labor, and they reveal him kind of like it's some big thing. I don't know, I didn't really feel it. Maybe if you were binging the show back to back and you just watch season 2, you'd feel more attached to him, or at least just feel more emotion when you see his face again. But they showed him and he has longer hair and a beard, and it's a whole thing, and I'm just like, eh. Now it's back to the Batch as they're approaching the planet. And their approach in, again, I just noticed how good the animation and art looked. They don't really explain what she's doing, but essentially Fee, I guess, cuts power and just kind of falls past all the Imperial sensors and patrols. Because once they get down to a certain point on the planet, she just turns everything back on and nobody notices from the Empire. So I guess the Imperial sensors just pick up things approaching the planet, and then once you're on the planet, they don't really have much. I guess that's what I understood them to be doing, but I'm not 100% sure. So with the Batch now landed on the planet, they're able to quickly locate Rampart. And rather than trying to break him out of like the actual prison facility, they decide to try and yoink him off of a transport that's shuttling him between the prison and where he's doing the hard labor or the mine. Crosshair pulls off one of those things where he shoots the blaster bolt in a closed space and it bounces around and hits multiple people at once. We haven't seen him do that in a while. I guess his hand isn't shaking quite as much this episode. So they just release all the other prisoners off the transport and speed away with it. I like how Rampart's first question is, are you here to kill me? And he immediately starts like conniving and trying to negotiate with them. And I guess that's in character for him. But man, if I was the Batch, I'd be like, shut up. We don't have time for this right now. At least just stun him or something and be done with it. You know, I just think 1 or 2 threats from the Batch might have been all it took to sort of remind him, maybe you should just be quiet and do what we say. But instead, he's going on and on about how, oh, if you don't help me, I won't help you. But by now, the prison facility has kind of figured out that something wonky's going on with one of their transports. They try to seal off a bridge with some barricades, but the Bad Batch just kind of run right through it. And then they find themselves in a shootout with another turbo tank. And this action sequence was pretty cool. They're shooting blasters at each other. They're shooting rockets at each other. There's like a little anti-aircraft, anti-missile blaster turret that can start shooting at the missiles. But they're able to outmaneuver the other turbo tank and press onward. And here, Crosshair does get fed up with Rampart and just stuns him and throws him over his shoulder. But wait, because now they're being chased by LAAT gunships as they traverse a road on the edge of a cliff. And here, I gotta say, the Bad Batch should have lost this encounter. They're like sitting ducks on the cliff, and these ships are coming in with the total advantage, and they just can't hit them. And the couple times they do hit them, you know, you just cut to inside the turbo tank, kind of shakes a little bit, but then if they get one hit on the ship explodes and falls out of the sky. I don't know though, I might just be a little bit biased because the LAAT is one of my favorite ships in Star Wars, and I never like seeing them be useless. One of the ships does drop a squad of TK troopers on top of the turbo tank, and they're actually surprisingly effective. They very quickly start disabling all the guns, and I was like, whoa, are they actually going to be stopped here by just normal troopers? But their usefulness didn't last very long because quickly they're able to shake them off. And shortly after this point, Fee is able to arrive and pick them up on her ship. So now the Batch is alone on Fee's ship with Rampart away from the distractions, and they ask him where Tantiss is. And Rampart says he doesn't know. In fact, he says that nobody knows where Tantiss is because it was designed that way, but that he knows a way around that. So hopefully we'll find out what that means next week, because right now it's pretty vague. But now we meet back up with Omega and Emery, and Hemlock takes Omega over to where the vault is, and as they're walking over there, he kind of explains what's going on with her blood. It was definitely the most clear explanation we've gotten up until now, I thought. So it was nice, even though they're keeping things vague, to get a little bit of clarity. I mean, I think very obviously Project Necromancer is tying into episode 9 and just the cloning of Emperor Palpatine, because normally it sounds like when you try to clone someone who's force sensitive, the force sensitivity doesn't carry over to the clone. But if you add in Omega's blood in the cloning process and then clone somebody who's force sensitive, the clone does come out as a force sensitive as well. And that's how the episode ends. Hemlock leaves Omega in the vault, and it'll be interesting now to see how Omega interacts with the other children that are there. If I had to guess, I'd say she's probably gonna become some kind of leader for them and will be instrumental in planning and utilizing their skills in some sort of escape attempt. Hopefully we're on our way to a satisfying finale, and I guess we'll just see what happens. What did you think of this episode? I thought it was fine, definitely not the best or a standout, and if anything, I did think the more interesting part of the episode was with Omega, Emery, and Hemlock over on Tantiss, seeing what was going on over there. And if you made it this far in the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.